Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, Professor Ajay Kumar Sood ji, who in addition to being chair of so many committees of Government of India is also head of our advisory group on green hydrogen. Excellencies, Ms. May Ellen Stenner, Ambassador of Norway to India, Mr. Freddy Sven, Ambassador of Denmark to India, Mr. Atish Singh, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Mr. G. Ravishankar, Director Finance, Power Grid, Mr. Sudhir Pal Singh, Editor, ETEnergy World Economic Times, and who is the brain behind this event. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to be a part of this esteemed gathering at this prestigious ETEindia Leadership Summit, where the inspiring theme is uniting innovation, sustainability, and collaboration. So as you know, energy powers societies and nations. The more developed a society or a nation is, the more energy it consumes. However, the energy that is presently, the sources of energy are majorly the fossil fuels. The fossil fuels like coal, gas, oil, which are in fact hydrocarbons. So as name suggests, these are combination of hydrogen and carbon. And when they burn, they produce, in addition to power, electricity, energy, but they also produce carbon dioxide emissions. And these carbon dioxide emissions are the ones that the world is currently debating on how to decarbonize, because these emissions lead to global warming, temperature rise. So the current theme across the world is how to decarbonize, how to do energy transition. And if we see the calendar of events, it starts right at the beginning of the year from World Economic Forum at Davos and right down to the end of the year at COP, Conference of Parties, which is usually in November or December. So, however, India has now currently emerged as one of the leading countries in the world as far as energy transition is concerned. And I'll give you some figures. So the first one is that we are only one of the very few countries in the world which have achieved our NDC targets much in advance. So our first NDC target was to have 33% of carbon emission intensity reduction over 2005 levels, and this was to be achieved by year 2030. We achieved this whole 9 years in advance, that is in year 2021. Second one was about having 40% of our installed electric capacity from non-fossil fuels. Here we achieved this timeline much ahead of the dedicated timeline designated, that was year 2030. So though our per capita emissions are, as Professor Su said, is hardly around 2 tons, which is almost 40% of the world average, 30 to 40% of the world average. But still we are guided and we are committed to energy transition. We are guided by the principles of Panchamrit as enunciated by Honorable Prime Minister at COP 26 in Glasgow. So these are achievement of 500 gigawatt of non-fossil electric installed capacity by 2030, to meet 50% of our energy needs from renewable energy, to reduce the carbon emission intensity of the GDP by 45% over 2005 levels, to reduce the projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons by year 2030, and the long-term target being net zero by the year 2070. So all these targets are, the main aim is decarbonization. So to my mind, there are 2 pathways to decarbonization. The first one is to electrify. So whatever is possible, we electrify those industries, those factories, the transportation, households, heating, cooling, cooking, etc. Whatever we can do, we need to electrify those processes. But then in addition to this, there are certain processes which we cannot electrify. So due to technological limitations, we cannot electrify those processes. So these processes are industrial processes, like for example, refineries, fertilizers, steel, cement, aluminum, heavy-duty road transportation, shipping, aviation, very difficult to electrify. And currently, at current technology levels, seems not possible currently. So here, there are other processes. So how we can decarbonize these sectors. So just to put things into perspective, as Professor Su said, currently around 18 to 20% of our energy mix comes from electricity. The rest, all 80% falls into these sectors, the hard to electrify or hard to abate sectors. So these sectors, now we need a strategy not only for increasing our electricity mix, our share of electricity in our energy mix. So by 2070, it can go up to maximum to around 50%. So currently it is around 20%. By 2070, we can go up to 50%. So first part, as I said, is to electrify, but this electricity that we use, it should be from the renewable energy sources. So we need to increase the percentage of green energy into our grid. So there are a number of steps that we have taken over the last few years to decarbonize our grid, to put more green energy into the grid. So just to, again, some numbers. So a decade back, our solar generation was less than 3 gigawatt. Now it's 90 gigawatt, increase of 30 times. And going forward, by 2030, it's expected to be around 300 gigawatt. Our wind generation was around 20 gigawatt around a decade back. Now currently it is 45 plus gigawatt, and by 2030 we expect this number to rise to 100 gigawatts. So 300 plus 100, 400 gigawatt is what the solar and the wind sector would provide, and the rest of 100 gigawatts would be through the hydro sources and the biomass and through other sources. So there are large number of steps which we at the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and also in coordination with the Ministry of Power and various other ministries as a whole of government approach we are taking. The first one is we have mandated that green energy should be used, and there is a trajectory to it. So currently this is 23%. So 23% of the electricity that has to be used has to be green electricity from renewable energy sources. And going forward, this trajectory will rise to, by year 2030, it should be 44%, 43 to 44%. So this is a mandate, and it's under the Energy Conservation Act. Then we also launched or we came out with the Green Energy Open Access Rules in year 2022. So under these rules, any organization, any entity, any industry, you can ask for green energy from the grid. So the concerned DISCOM has to provide green energy. It's again, and almost currently all the states have adopted it, and they are providing on demand. So this is green energy on demand. Then how to reduce the cost of green energy. So initially, around 15 years back, the cost was to the tune of 15 rupees per unit. And the current costs are around 2.5 to 3 rupees per unit. So there has been a drastic drop in the prices of renewable energy. And for this, we have the ministry in association with other organizations, we came out with competitive tariff-based bidding guidelines. So these are standard bidding guidelines, and these are not only followed by currently Govt of India, but all the state governments as well. We have also come out with a trajectory of bids of 50 gigawatt per annum. That is 50,000 megawatt per annum, which is in fact more than some of the electricity needs of some of the countries. So, and this is per annum. And the year it starts from 23-24, we had 50 gigawatt of bids last year, and till 27-28 we'll be coming out every year with 50,000 megawatt of bids. Then, as Dhirji said, there are other sectors also. So there are sectors like we are working on offshore wind. We are also, the bids, the tenders are currently out. We are also working on repowering of our existing turbines. So if the efficiency has gone up, the more efficient turbines are currently available. So using the same space, we can produce more electricity by changing the systems. So we have also come out with that policy. We have launched a grid, a green day ahead market. So this is a power exchange for renewable energy. So that has also been launched. And this sector requires huge amount of investments. So we have a very open 100% FDI policy, and over the last decade, around $100 billion of investment FDI has flown into this sector. As was told by Mr. Ravi Shankar, we are also doing the evacuating electricity using green energy corridors. So these are transmission systems which are focused only on evacuation of renewable energy, green energy. And there's one project that, as we talked about, is being set up in Ladakh. So this is 13 gigawatt of renewable energy. 9 gigawatt would be solar, 4 gigawatt is wind. So 13 gigawatt, it would be brought down from the hills to Haryana. So that we are currently working with Power Grid on that. We are also working on how to increase the manufacturing of solar panels, solar modules in the country. So this production was very less. Around a decade back, even now currently we have 60 gigawatts of solar panels that are being manufactured in India. And this is increasing at a rapid pace, and probably by year 2027, we will be at 100 gigawatt of solar panel manufacturing capacity in India. And also the cell manufacturing capacity is also increasing at a very rapid pace. We are also setting up a large number of ultra mega solar power plants or parks also. So if I can give you some few sector specific examples, we launched the PM Kusum scheme. So this scheme is for solarization of the agriculture sector. So here we are subsidizing, we are incentivizing the solarization of diesel pumps, as well as greening the grids that power the electric pumps. And the targets are very significant, and we also, in fact, are incentivizing the farmers for production of green electricity in their farms. So up to 2 megawatt of green electricity. So that's a scheme that is currently on. And then there is this big scheme called PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. So this is a huge scheme. It's an allocation of around $10 billion, 75,000 crores. And here the aim is to solarize 1 crore rooftops across the country over the next 3 years. It will lead to generation of 17 lakh jobs, green jobs. It will have huge impact on the environment. So it will lead to reduction of 20 million tons of carbon dioxide, a million tons of carbon dioxide from the environment. Then it will lead to generation of 1 lakh crore of units of electricity. So in this scheme, or the rooftop solar scheme has been in operation for quite some time now, but the current version has been launched very recently, around 6 months back. So, till 6 months back, our total rooftop unit installation was around 8 lakh installations we had done. From the launch of the rooftop scheme, which was, I think, around 2012, 13, 14. And in last 6 months, we have done 4 lakh units of rooftop installations. So, and this number is going, per day we are doing around 3,000 to 4,000, and this number is going to go up very significantly, exponentially. So this was for the part where we can electrify, but there are other parts where we cannot electrify. So these are parts, as was mentioned, green hydrogen has emerged as now one of the most promising alternatives to decarbonizing these hard to abate, hard to electrify sectors. So under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, we are taking a large number of steps to take this ecosystem forward. So we have the allocation of around 20,000 crores for establishing, setting up this ecosystem. And out of this, around 17,500 crores is for providing incentives. Providing incentives for manufacturing of electrolyzers. Electrolyzers are the key machines to generate green hydrogen. And here we have now identified firms. We have come out with tenders, and we will be providing incentives to 15 units, 15 firms for production of 3,000 megawatt of electrolyzers per annum for 5 years. So the cumulative would be around 15,000 megawatt of electrolyzer manufacturing capacity that will be supporting over next 5 years. Then refinery is one key sector where there's huge scope for use of green hydrogen. And here we have allocated around 200,000 tons, 2 lakh tons of green hydrogen production to the refinery sector, and bids of around 41,000 tons are currently live. Fertilizers is another major sector, and here we have come out with one of the largest bids for green ammonia in the world. So this is 7,39,000 tons of green ammonia, and the period is over a period of 10 years. So this is in fact 7 million tons of green ammonia, which is by far one of the largest bids currently, and it is currently live. But this ecosystem is being set up, so there are a large number of other steps also. We have already awarded around 412,000 tons of green hydrogen manufacturing capacity. 450,000 tons are again live. We are setting up centers of excellence for testing facilities. We are working on regulations, codes, standards. We have come out with a green hydrogen standard for India. We are working on, we have provided ISTS waiver for green hydrogen projects. We are also supporting R&D facilities to how to lower down the cost of electrolyzers, and also not only electrolyzers, but how to use seawater in the electrolysis process. So these are some of the major steps that we are taking as far as green hydrogen is concerned. We are also setting up green hydrogen hubs, setting up a few hubs across the country. These hubs can be in the ports, or they can be in the hinterland as well, where the demand centers exist and the production is also there. So all these steps are also, in fact, a way we are moving towards energy independence. So currently we import hundreds of billions of dollars of fossil fuels every year. So here, renewable energy, we have all the resources. We have solar, we have wind, we have hydro, we have hydrogen, we have water. So not only moving towards energy independence, but also moving towards export of energy. So this is a major change that is currently underway. So I'll stop here. So as we move forward, we know that India's renewable energy journey, it's a collaborative approach, and it's powered by innovation, and it's guided by sustainability and enabled by collaboration. So I look forward to hearing from all of you, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.